People speak of Robin Hood, tell his stories. They're all lies. He was not a hero. You were a murderous brigand.
Okay, this one feels a lot like Disclosure Day, mostly in that the trailer is the movie, if I recall. The trailer for this one didn't really sell me on the movie. I just tend to watch a lot of movies, and I should probably be a little more critical of what I see because I feel like I wasted my time on this one. It's not a bad movie as in it's well acted and directed, but the story is just kind of, why did we need a reconstruction of Robin Hood and make him more of a villain in this murderous rampage? Especially when we have such classics as the 2018 Robin Hood with starring Taron Egerton, or the 2010 Robin Hood with Russell Crowe, directed by Ridley Scott. That one I don't really recall too much, so that one was probably in the same ballpark. Then there's 1993's Robin Hood Men in Tights, brought to you by Mel Brooks, with Cary Elwes as the hero Sherwood. But when you think about Robin Hood, I think a lot of people, especially who grew up in the 80s or 90s, see Prince of Thieves as kind of the quintessential Robin Hood story. That one stars Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman, and it's still a great movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And yes, these are some of the bigger kind of adaptations of Robin Hood over the last 30 years or so. There have been many others, whether they're direct to streaming, direct to video, back in the early 1930s. Robin Hood's been around for a while. But what The Death of Robin Hood is missing that some of these other movies have is just like the sense of fun and lighthearted drama. I think that's where Robin Hood Prince of Thieves really succeeds at. It kind of mixes this dramatic approach, but there are a lot of fun scenes in that movie. A lot of the characters are pretty entertaining. With a movie called Death of Robin Hood, especially from the trailer, I wasn't expecting anything to be super lighthearted and fun, especially from the director of Pig in A Quiet Place Day One. But I was hoping for something more than was presented in the trailers. Here we have Robin, played by Hugh Jackman, who is kind of roaming the lands in the mountains in hopes of meeting death at the hands of what I assume is the ancestors of the people he has murdered throughout his past. But even though he does seem like he wants to die, he's not going to go that easily. And he hopes that the people who are going to kill him earn his death as opposed to him just letting them kill him. So I guess he is just wanting to go into battle, but only if his opponent can beat him. He is eventually reunited with his longtime confidant or buddy, Little John. And this is played by Bill Skarsgård in a kind of mumbly role. It's really hard to understand what the hell he's saying half the time. But Little John is trying to get Robin to help him with some scenarios and some trouble he's in. During this next section, Robin gets gravely injured, and Little John drops him off as this priory that's on this island. And this is where he meets Sister Bridget, played by Jodie Comer, who basically brings him back to health. So this next section of the movie is just a lot of him on this island recuperating. He's also, I guess, being buddy-buddy with the groundskeeper there, who is trying to teach him some of the things that are going on the island in case he ends up passing. And all along the same time, you do know that there's people that are after either Little John or Robin in hopes of getting revenge against their slain ancestors. There's also Little John's daughter who ends up back at the priory, and him kind of taking her under his wing. And then there's some kind of romantic kind of relationship going on with Sister Bridget and Robin that they hint at and kind of bring up throughout the last half of the movie. But overall, that's like literally just the movie. Everything's in the trailer. Everything's in the name, The Death of Robin Hood. You know what you're going to get when you go into a movie called that. I mean, I guess they could have subverted expectations and made him live and have him become redeemed for the past mistakes he's made or seems to think he's made, because the movie's really focused on, does Robin think he's redeemable from all the stuff he's done as he's recuperating from almost death? I guess the only thing you could take away from that is the only redemption for what he has done is death. And that's pretty much the whole movie. It didn't really need to be made. It's also another one of those movies that I feel is kind of common in the last month or so, is that it's released in the wrong time of year. Not that I think if it was released in the fall, it would do any better, but this is definitely not a summer movie. I don't know why it got released at the end of June, because this would have probably did a little bit better in the fall, because it's a very visually dark movie. The imagery is very dark. There's not a lot of color. It's very gray. It kind of fits the tone of the 1200s that this takes place in. And there are some actually pretty gruesome, I guess, death scenes in here as Robin is fighting a few different people throughout the film. So definitely not like that summer fun blockbuster that you want to get to. Although this is not a blockbuster. It wasn't sold as a blockbuster. It's just, I feel like it was released at the wrong time. I don't think that would have really helped the box office because this is doing terribly. People just don't want this like reconstruction of Robin Hood, especially if you think about what's going on in society. There's also the aspect of Hugh Jackman hanging out with terrible people that makes people question whether they want to support him. Not that I don't even think that would have helped. You could have had somebody else in this movie. I don't think this movie would have did well. It's just not a great movie. It is, looks great. It's well acted, but the story doesn't really provide anything that I think people really care about right now. Is this, who really wants to see this dark, gritty deconstruction of Robin Hood, where he's basically the villain trying to figure out if he wants to be redeemed. I don't know. Maybe you'll like the film. It definitely was not for me. I would highly recommend passing this in the theater, maybe catch it on streaming when it releases, but I would give Death of Robin Hood 2 stars.